I'm gonna be happy, happy today. I'm gonna be happy, happy today.
Can you tell us, please, why did you choose to come to England, and were you anxious at all when you left South Africa?
Gosh, I didn't choose England in the first time, or the first place. I chose Croatia. And then COVID happened. We had the time of our lives in COVID. And suddenly it struck me after lockdown and more lockdown that we were by ourselves and we needed to make a change in our lives. So I phoned my mom and said, we're coming to Croatia. And a week later, my mom phoned and said, she doesn't think that's a good idea. I need to go to England where my sisters are. And I was like, I will never
So
go
you
to
have
England.
some family here already?
I do. I was like, I'm never going to England. I will die from the cold. And then everything just flowed and happened naturally on its own. It's almost like when you make that final decision of what you're doing with your life and it's the right decision, everything happens as it's supposed to be. And England became our home.
So is it COVID that pushed you to make that decision to leave your country?
When I look back on my life and I think, you know what, I think the seed was planted in 2010, the first time I went to visit Croatia with my mom. I had a road trip with my mother. Best experience of my life. Everybody should do that for some memories. I think the seed was planted then because I sort of started thinking we should be doing more in our lives, visiting different countries, traveling more, and what are we doing in South Africa? Why don't we move and expand our life and knowledge and experiences? So I think it started then.
You wanted some adventure.
I wanted adventure, and then
change.
I think I was married at the time. So at the time, you have to think about the person that you're with and their decisions and what they want. And then suddenly now it was just me, and I could make decisions for my daughter and I. So it was, and COVID helped make that final decision.
Give you a push just to,
It helped
time to go.
because I reflected on life thinking, what are we doing by ourselves? Our family's not here. Let's just go to where they are.
Exactly. So were you anxious at all when you left your country? How did you actually feel, if you think about it?
I was on a high. I was anxious every day leading up to the day because it was organizing, planning, selling, moving, packing. That anxiety of moving your life to another world is anxiety.
Yeah.
But then the day that we left, I felt this light, ethereal feeling. It was like that was it. We were going on an adventure. It wasn't like we were leaving home and never coming back. It just felt like, see
Light.
you later.
You felt light.
Yeah.
That's good.
Light, that's a good one.
Yeah. So you came out of your comfort zone because I believe to leave your country, your mom, your home, your friends is coming out of your comfort zone. That is quite brave, I would say.
Thank you.
So well done, because it's a nice feeling, yeah, when you live and you're adventurous and open to new. So what was, I know you came with a daughter, yeah? So did that make it easier, the fact that you had her with you when you were not alone, or did that put some pressure and made it a bit more difficult?
I don't think I ever thought about it like that. I think our personality, my daughter and I, are so similar, and our energy is the same. And I'm so enthusiastic about life that I think she latches onto that. So she's just as excited as I am.
She just goes along
She
with
just goes with it. And she was so supportive and so encouraging and as excited as I was to try something new, that's what pushed me. If she was the one that was upset about it or struggling, or I think it would have been harder. But because she was on board with what I had decided for the two of us, I think that just made it much easier.
So she wasn't upset about leaving her friends, her school, anything like that?
Later, we kind of felt the after
Felt
effects of
missing.
that, exactly. But during that time, I think that is kind of my nature. Leave what you've done and move forward and just enjoy every second that you're putting forward in your life and just go and have fun instead of thinking about what could have been. Try and move forward with what you want to be, I think. So she has that attitude as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good quality to have, I guess, in this life. So what would you say was the most challenging time or moment once you arrived in England?
Like once we arrived here and settled in, we didn't have
Was it
challenging
finding a
time.
job, or was it weather even?
Again, we went into quarantine for 2 weeks when we arrived. Then we went, the day we came out, the country went into lockdown. I think that was a phenomenal experience for me personally because I had time to settle, buy furniture, look for a school, look for a job, walk around my environment and learn the streets walking because we didn't have a car. So it was adventurous, exciting, getting to know my environment. I loved every single second of being here, and I think that quiet time gave me that peace. If we had arrived and I had to go into a job, into school, everything straight away, I don't know if I would have struggled differently. It would have been a different challenge. The thing that I struggled with my biggest challenge was when I started working at Rebound Electronics. It was challenging because I had to start from the beginning again, and it was starting from, I don't like to say the bottom, but it felt like from the bottom again and trying to work my way up. Thankfully, I have incredible people at the company that have supported me and seen what I'm capable of and my personality, and they've encouraged me to be me, which I'm very appreciative of. But in the beginning, I struggled the most with that. Talking on the phone, culture, my confidence, it was suddenly like I was starting school again. I don't know what happened to me, and I can't explain what it was to this day. I don't know. That was challenging and frustrating because I knew that it wasn't me. But at the same time, what I had to do was create blocks in my life. For these 3 months, we're going to look for a school. The next 3 months, we're going to look for a job. Now I've got a job, I'm going to focus on the job for the next 3 months and my daughter for the next 6 months at school. Now I'm going to focus on buying furniture. So I had to take every year and break it up into little quarters of what I could cope with in that quarter. And the zone was, now we're going to focus on enjoying our lives. Now we're going to travel. Now we're going to socialize. So everything had to be broken up for me to be able to cope. Chapters.
It makes sense. Yeah. If you think back now, your first day of work, when you stepped into the office with new people, how did you feel?
Petrified. I believe I'm the most confident person that I know.
You do come across that way, yes.
Yeah, I feel that I'm so confident, but when I stepped into that environment, I know we all speak English, but it felt like they were speaking a different version of English. And suddenly I hate saying the word confidence, but it felt like I'd lost myself. And I didn't know what on earth I was doing and where I was and who I was. And it was like I was being taught from grade 1 again. That's how I felt when I started. That was horrific for me.
Interesting. So just a matter of different accent made you feel so
insecure. Not so much the accent, like talking on the phone. They're speaking different accents, they're speaking fast, they're using different words to what I'm used to. And their accents were so strong that I couldn't actually understand what they were saying on the phone, and I'd say, pardon. It was awful for me because I hate being that person. I'm good at sales, but then I can't speak on the phone. I mean, what are you if you can't speak on the phone? And then the words that they use, I had to kind of adopt the culture. And that was a big turning point for me. When I started working there, I realized that to live in this country or move away from home, adopt the culture immediately. Because if you don't, you won't survive. Or you'll hate it. You'll be depressed and you'll hate it and you'll want to go back home. If you adopt the culture and live this life and be like the people, you'll cope better.
That's so true. So again, looking back, what would you say do you have some pros and cons about the whole move since you left your country? A couple of pros and cons, if you can think of any.
Pros, do it. No
Just
regrets.
do it.
Just do it. No regrets. No
The more you
hold-ons.
think about it, you might actually procrastinate. And
Doesn't matter how old you are. If I can do it at my age with a child, anybody can do it. You can.
That was actually 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So not that long ago.
No, not that long ago. Just do it. Stop
Just
waiting.
do it.
Just do it. Doesn't matter how many people you have, how many children in your family, you're attached, aren't you? Just do it. Stop waiting. Do I go back and say, I wish I had done it sooner in my life? Yes, I can say that now, but maybe the time wasn't right.
Maybe,
You can always say that after the effect, but at that time, it wasn't right for me to leave the country. I left at the right time.
So that would be your advice: take your life in your own hands and just do what you want to do.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about that.
Be in control of your own decisions.
The biggest thing that my mom actually said to me when I was struggling, she says, make a decision. When you make a decision, everything will follow. And that's so. Just make a decision and then go with it.
And do you have any cons?
Cons about moving?
About you coming here and leaving your country behind?
The only con I guess that I have, if I compare the two countries, is South Africa is very social and very community based. whereas I don't find that community feeling here, but perhaps it's where I live. I kind of live in a different area. I live in an apartment block. I don't live in a communal open space. It's very different.
Again, looking back since you left, do you have any regrets that you made this decision, and was it well worth it in the end?
I don't have regrets. If there was a choice that I would have made, I think I wish I'd done it sooner.
That's a good one.
Again, everything's about the right time and the right place. And the other one,
if it was worth the change, if you're happy with how it turned out.
Worth the change? Yes. I would do it 1,000,000 times over any day, and I recommend it for anyone. But adopt the culture.
Yes, and learn the language, because there's so many people that struggle with that. Do you have? I never asked anyone this question, but it's something that I think is interesting. Do you have a wow factor in your life? Would you share a story with us that you think is the wow factor of everything you lived so far?
Like something incredible that I've gone through?
Yes, something that you think, how did I do that? Something that you look back and you think, that's unbelievable.
I have a story that I haven't told 2 people maybe in my life.
Well, who are those people?
My therapist and my life coach.
Okay.
And those are the only 2 people that know. Do you want to hear that
Only
one?
if you're happy to share with us.
I will happily share.
Okay.
I think I turned 18, and in South Africa that's when you get your license, and I got a car and what have you, and I met a guy at school, and he had an apartment. He was a bit older than me, but he had been in school during that time, so we kind of knew him from other people, etc. And the memory happened so long ago that I think when something traumatic happens, you kind of
repress.
I think so. You repress that and you can't really remember those things so clearly. So I'm going to try and pull the memories together.
Yes.
The wow factor is I left home, went out, drove to his apartment, went to his apartment on a friendly, happy basis, boyfriend potential, maybe. When I arrived, he started talking, we were talking, and suddenly he pulled a gun out and held the gun to my head.
Wow.
And kept me hostage until probably 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember. Time also lapsed for so long. I think he was mentally unwell. He kept talking about he's going to kill himself, doesn't want to live, and speaking so erratically but constantly flashing the gun in my face, holding it up against my head, flicking it around. There wasn't really a moment where I could escape, run, call for help. It wasn't the days where you had a phone where you could dial somebody, call, do something. So I was alone, dealing with that moment and thinking of how I'm going to get out of this. And the only way that I got out of it was just talking. I don't know how I stayed so calm, relaxed, speaking. And the only thing that I can remember now that got me out of it was when I said to him, well, then do it. Because you kept me here for so long, then do it. If that's what you want to do, take your life.
So what do you think led him to that moment when he took the gun out? Is it a conversation you had?
No.
Something that triggered him?
No, I think he planned that all along.
To ask you over and
Yes.
and do this?
And maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe I was the person that arrived at that time where he had decided he's going to do
Could have
this.
been anyone, yeah.
Could have been anybody.
Do you think he has done that with other people?
He died.
Just for the scare, maybe?
He died.
He died?
He died. Maybe 10 years later, he was killed in a car accident. So I don't know. And because I was petrified for being in that moment and too afraid to tell anyone or my family what had happened because of the repercussions, I never told anybody, and I never protected myself, and I never protected anybody else after because I was so petrified. And I think I tried to
Forget about
forget
it.
about it, which is quite sad when I think about it now. I didn't think about it like that for many years.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna be happy, happy today. I'm gonna be happy, happy today.